Pay, Danson Muchemi, is joining us in studio for this conversation. Danson, thank you very much for joining us in studio this morning.
Thank you.
So let's start from the beginning. What is Jambo Pay? What does Jambo Pay do?
Thank you. Jambo Pay is an electronic payment service provider that helps businesses, government and individuals to make electronic payments or digital payments or receive payments or collect their revenues in a digital platform or an ecosystem.
Right.
So we are an electronic payments service provider.
Yes. How long ago did you start this?
We started Jambo Pay 7 years ago. That was late 2008. Yes.
Right. So you were quite young at the time. You know, how did you start the idea? Because there's already global players like PayPal, for example. So how did you start the idea, the capital? How much did you need to start?
Thank you for that. We wanted to get into e-commerce payment, that's selling items and services online in 2008 after my university, but could not find a local payment gateway that would enable you to receive money locally. So teamed up with a friend and we started off. In terms of what capital was required, we really required a lot of money, but did not have that kind of money to start. So we started off Jambo Pay in a cyber cafe, somewhere at View Park Towers. And since then we've grown from that cyber cafe into now Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania and other places.
Right.
Yes.
And that's something we'll get into, starting with what you have when it comes to business. But 7 years down the line, you've done quite a lot, especially in Nairobi City County itself. Tell us about that.
Nairobi is one of our clients out of probably 2,000 other clients that we serve. And what we've done for Nairobi is the digitization of electronic payments. That's the revenue collection. Extending how you can get to pay for the county government services to mobile, through web, through banks and physical agency points from anywhere in Kenya and beyond. And the areas automated includes the land rate payments, where you are able to pay from your mobile phone, your web, through Jambo Pay agent points and banks. We have the parking payments, we have the single business permits, land rates, and so many other aspects of, actually virtually every county service is available on their web through mobile application, the EGG Pay platform. And as a result, we have realized, the county government has realized efficiency. Today, you do not require to face a parking attendant.
Right. You do it on your phone.
Hash and make transactions. Consequently, we've had the results of growth in revenues. I know specifically, for example, around PSVs, the numbers I have, that there has been close to 40–60% growth in the number of PSVs that are paying their seasonal parking and so forth. And another remarkable service, improvement on that is today you have ability to generate your single business permit in under 30 minutes. That prior to e-payments used to take 3–4 months. Yes.
Right. Now that's some of the gaps I'd say you wanted to fill, because with any business venture, you're intending to fill a gap. So tell us about some of the gaps that you had noticed before.
One was in e-commerce. Prior to people like Jambo Pay or ourselves, we could not have anyone from Kenya sell online and receive payment securely. And number two was there was always the risk of cash handling, where you are doing transactions physically, and there's a risk due to security, concerns. It's expensive to have, to carry cans, the CIT, in cash, the CIT, and so forth. Number three, the efficiency that would result out of application of electronic payments. And the opportunity generated to businesses and the ease of doing business that are attributable to electronic payments. Those are some of the gaps. And Kenya and the government was, there is the digital policy, a move towards the digitization of services. And that also, we saw that from 2008 as an opportunity to curb corruption and improve on efficiencies and increase in revenue collection. Yes.
And we will speak more about how it curbs corruption, but Jambo Pay is a service that can be used by everyone,
Yes.
really. But how do you cater then for the illiterate market, for example?
That's a good question. Jambo Pay has 4 channels or 4 ways you can pay. You can pay through mobile phone when you want to pay for services that are provided by Jambo Pay merchant. You can pay through web from anywhere. Now, if you can also walk to a bank. There are banks that are Jambo Pay agents, close to 20 now. And for those who are illiterate, we have, or not illiterate, or they are not tech savvy. We have provided now a channel that is called agency. You check around, you are able to walk to agencies, Jambo Pay agencies, and we are rolling out more of that. And at that point, you are able to make physical payments. The agents will complete those transactions for you in a digital, through the digital platform. Yes.
Now, when we were speaking earlier, you told me that online payment and e-payment are not one and the same. What's the difference?
There's a relationship with the two. Electronic payments is the global aspect of payments in a cashless or a digital format. And these could include online. Online specifically is areas of e-commerce. And there are others that are not online that you are able to, but they are digital. For example, you could have mobile payments that may not necessarily be real online, or card payments where you have stored some value on a card and are able to do transaction through a POS network. So e-payments is the broader aspect of the payments that is cashless, while online payment is just one aspect of e-payment.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So when it comes to e-payment, we're speaking digital cash.
Yes.
The beauty of digital cash is its transnationality, meaning it's not managed by any central bank of any nation state. But when it comes to transnationality, again, there's issues. I mean, there's so many issues of cybercrime nowadays. So how do you ensure that the money is secure?
Yes, first, I would like to maybe correct a bit of that, there's a difference between generally electronic payments and the cryptocurrencies, that is Bitcoin and those others. Electronic payments are generally regulated. Ourselves are regulated here by the central bank and the CK, or Communication Authority of Kenya. And yes, there are risks that are inherent to e-payments, especially if you look at cybercrime or possibilities of cybercrime. And what we as providers and other providers out there would do is we have standards. For example, we have standards called Payment Card Industry Data Security Standards, PCI DSS compliance, that subscribe guidelines and frameworks for securing how you transmit your data, how you store data. And then we also have laws now that are being developed and policies, both at government level and others at the stakeholders levels. And for providers in that space, because that's a critical area, have to invest continuously on security, and not just security, also proactively trying to hack yourselves or get to identify vulnerabilities through maybe your, internal mechanisms or through collaboration with other entities. An example that Jambo Pay, what we do is we have our internal network security department, but we also do a lot of collaboration with universities out there and other institutions trying to do friendly fire, sort of. You try to have communities out there who are doing attempts to penetrate your systems and so forth. But generally, the policies, especially around PCI DSS compliance, cover. If you are compliant, you continuously you are safe, sort of.
Right.
Yep.
Now you mentioned earlier that such e-payment systems like Jambo Pay can help stem corruption. So are we talking traceability? Does it mean any transaction can be traced?
Yes, one is the traceability. There's an audit log on all transactions that happen through digital platforms. Number two is you eliminate the handling of cash. I give an example. Today you want to make a parking payment. You can just dial *217#. Funds will move from your wallet or your phone to the county government account. And as such, you are eliminating that journey between yourself and the probably attendant to the county. You know, there is a temptation that would come with handling cash. So corruption can really be eliminated through e-payments.
You know, and I'm rather skeptical about that, because wouldn't a system like this then encourage tax evasion and money laundering and such like?
To the contrary, I think you realize that when you have traceability, you have visibility on a transaction, then even taxation is easier. Government is able to trace, the tax money is able to see a trail of your money. So if you're able to trace or have a cash trail, you're able to then tax or also see the pattern around the movement. So the money laundering and those other aspects, you're very much able to contain them or detect them through such systems. The manual cash systems, you hardly get to know how much someone transacted. So one of strong points of e-payments to governments more so and policymakers is in its ability to give you traceability and logs. You keep reports. We are required, we are mandated to keep records for over 7 years for any transaction that goes through Jambo Pay platform.
Right.
And as such, you are able to go back in history and see what happened, what enterprises collected and what payments were done by individuals and corporates.
Right.
Yes.
Now that being said, are you receiving any government support? Do we have policies in place to support e-payment?
Well, e-payments is new, and Kenya is at the forefront of this. Kenya is among the most advanced countries in mobile payments more so. We have now rules and policies, especially around the national payments. I mean, the central bank has defined the NPS policies, both the e-money issuer, we have the PSP, the payment service providers guidelines. However, I would say, yes, there is a lot of support from government because government is one of the largest consumers of e-payments through platforms like eCitizen. We have the Jambo Pay from Nairobi County. We have now so many other parastatals automating their payments, and the Treasury and the central bank. I mean, KRA's iTax and all that. So as a consumer, yes, there is a lot of support from government. In terms of policy, a lot has been done, but there is a lot that needs to be done, especially around cyber security. Right. And the regulation of investments into that industry. We have to contend today that probably the next is a major risk when you have your data in digital format, when you migrate to digital transactions, digital governments, and you have not secured your data, you do not have proper policies and laws that protect, and not just even policies and laws, but generally the capacity, including the people, the technologies, the servers, the networks, and what have you, to encrypt this data and ensure that we do not have unauthorized access to such. Now, you probably are aware that there are a lot of groups out there that, like anonymous, that carry out attacks on governments occasionally, and it's a major risk. We also think that probably the next warfares would probably be in digital forms. So governments ought to, our government here ought to also take that seriously and move with the times. But yes, policies are there, but a lot needs to be done.
Okay. Yeah. Now that being said, of course, cybercrime is a big risk. How, as a business, did you manage to get past that hurdle? And still, aren't you afraid that this might backfire on you?
No, the people who perpetrate cybercrime are do so out of first interest. There is what they are after. There are also a lot of other guys who are doing that for fun. We are not afraid. As Jambo Pay, I should just first say that. I think any organization that continuously invests in network security, research and development around cyber, e-payment, cybercrime, and so forth. And we also subscribe to standards that are international, like the PCI DSS compliance, constantly scanning ourselves and getting audits. We have audits every 3 months on our systems. I should also say that no system is 100%. No one can sit back and say we are 100% secure, because cybercrime is continuously evolving. We have new technologies, we have people who are researching, and so forth. So it's a continuous process. And as Jambo Pay, we've taken, I think, a lot of audit happens, a lot of policies and frameworks. We subscribe to such. And we also have a lot of, I explained earlier, a lot of friendly fire. We have partnerships, for example, with the universities and institutions out there. Labs now, we are partnering with a number of, with a certain lab to also have a continuous process of friendly fire, sort of you attract guys and tell them, hey, we are here, we'd like you to, within this framework, try to hack us and so forth. But, and it's, lots of losses have happened, or if you look at the cybercrime or the, in e-payments across the world, is lots of losses or huge amounts have been lost as a result. But if you look at the gains versus the risks, there is enormous gains that you realize from digital payments. So you have, as Jambo Pay, we've had to, we are looking at the gains. We try to remain on top of the technology in terms of, you have to be proactive.
Right.
You do not wait for attacks. Yes, but yes, we have had attempts in the past.
Right, you have.
And we expect always, this is a continuous process. Yes.
All right. Yeah. Now tell me, of course, with business, it's imperative that one keeps up with emerging trends. So tell us about the benefits of Jambo Pay, for example, for a small business.
As a small business, you have, when you deploy Jambo Pay, you first are able to sell efficiently. You are able to get paid from anywhere in the world. You are able to converge all your payments. Now you have over-the-counter payments. You have a stall somewhere or a business and you are trying to manage multiple businesses. We are able to give you a solution that is able to give you visibility on all your transactions. Number two is you get competitive by getting digital. I see a major risk for any business, large or small, that is not going digital. You can quite easily get wiped away by the digital current that is underway. For smaller businesses, also Jambo Pay gives an opportunity. It's a business opportunity because now we have the agency model. If you join Jambo Pay as a Jambo Pay agent, if you become a Jambo Pay agent, that means water payments, power, we have government payments and other pay TV, internet payment, ISP payments can happen at your shop or at your premise or at your business, and you get to earn. So as a source of income.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you're not just in Kenya. How many other countries are you in?
Jambo Pay is in Kenya, Uganda. We are in Uganda. We are in Tanzania. And we have also some activities in Senegal. Right,
so this is pretty much, let's just say, East African. Is East Africa moving towards a completely cashless system?
Kenya is the forefront. Yes, I think 5-7 years we will probably be at a comfortable percentage of digital payments. It's the most vibrant part of the world in terms of digital payments and e-payments. Yes, I would say what is pushing this, it is, East Africa is moving towards cashless, being a cashless society. And it's mainly being driven by competition, mobile money, and we have the underdeveloped infrastructure in banking, because basically e-payments is aspect of banking. Okay, and so because we have a need, and there is an increasing, development of mobile space, internet accessibilities, and so forth, that is and government policies is translating into a very fast move towards digital or cashless payments. However, cash is still king.
Right.
Over 90% of transactions happening today will be cash, as much as Kenya is the top in mobile payments. So there's still a huge gap to be covered.
But of course, you've done your market research. Yes. So what are some of the model countries, let's say you're emulating, what are some of the countries that have transitioned to this cashless system?
We have Japan, we have Belgium, but Japan is unique in, that they have managed to systematically and supported by the laws and policies, and with incentives for migration to e-payments. We know, we look at it, Kenya is probably second, if not top now, on e-payments, mobile payments. I think from where we sit, we see there is going to be, we see a likelihood of a faster transition, but not, we cannot entirely borrow from those countries because this is a very unique market. You walk to South Africa here or Tokyo, and those are the countries, Western countries, you realize there is a lot of ATMs, cards. Banks have given virtually everyone a credit card or a debit card or a prepaid card. And we do not have that here. There is still a huge percentage of our country and our region and our people who are out there and not near any pay point. And as such, we cannot entirely borrow from those guys. What we would probably need to do, and what is happening here, is just to support those initiatives that are rising, that are transformative and towards the e-payments. The growth of mobile payments in Kenya and by extension East Africa and Africa is driven by other factors as opposed to what is actually the underdevelopment of banking infrastructure that has resulted to that fast growth in mobile payments. And it's good. And so that is what we need to, I think, support more, especially from a policy point, incentives. We are taxed. Transactions today are taxed quite a lot. We think there is heavy taxation around that. And as a result, we have huge transaction or large, relatively expensive transactions. We are probably among the few places in the world that you pay to pay. You know, you are charged to pay. Right. I'm paying you for a service, but I have to pay. Right. And that can only be addressed by policies. Around governments, we have a scenario where there's a law that says government expects to receive entire amount of what you are paying for. Right. And that means if it's a service for 100 shillings, the laws here say that 100 shillings should be received by probably treasury, okay, or the government entity. And you see that the law says that, but if you look at best practices out there, Visa does not charge, Visa will not charge. The best practice is Visa and MasterCard and those other guys, and e-payments generally will not charge. They are trying to encourage people to pay. They don't want to charge the person paying. They usually will charge, and that's why you find at the supermarket you are not charged. Probably the supermarket is receiving less 2% or 3%. But the government is the other way around, and that is a huge bottleneck in development of digital payments, of electronic payments.
In fact, does that mean that with a completely cashless system, then it's impossible for anybody to evade taxes?
Yes, if it's completely e-payments, and proper government policies, and I have seen the Kenya Revenue Authority attempting to get into that space by way of getting data from e-payment service providers. Yes, you are able to tax entirely because you can tell business X received X amount of money.
But then that would need reforms as well.
Yes, it will need reforms, and you need to encourage fast e-payments to take root so that you have tax payment is not bad, it is good. And businesses, most of the time, they are not, they're not, okay, I think there are guys who do not want to pay tax, but generally a performing business would want to pay tax because it's performing, it's profitable, and so forth. And e-payments gives you efficiency. And even a lot of entities and individuals want to pay, but it's expensive to pay, or I would have to go and queue, or I don't know how to go about it. So digital payments poses a good front for even tax receiving. When I know I can just dial maybe star 805 hash or star 217 hash and pay my parking, I even look forward to doing that. And that is commendable of those governments that have moved to digital payments, and those who have partnered with Jambo Pay. Yeah.
And of course, some of these things we haven't mentioned is the fact that you can pay your fees
Yes.
with Jambo Pay.
Yes.
And that's something that a lot of people have to struggle with. But
Yes.
tell us about some of your biggest achievements the 7 years you've been around.
The biggest achievement was walking into the cyber cafe at View Park Towers and deciding that Jambo Pay will begin now with or without money, a lot of money, that we decided that the time is now. That was a big move. And the second biggest move was, the biggest achievement was, I think we wrote to CBK from a cyber and told them we would like your regulation and guidance, and for the CBK to have responded. I think that was a major fuel for Jambo Pay. And responding and saying, yeah, we encourage innovation, please make, that's the journey began at that point. We have, I think, getting into Tanzania and Uganda was a milestone. Now we are getting ready to move to other African countries and possibly beyond. Another major milestone was there was a shift that happened within, because we were initially just predominantly online, and we decided out of market needs to move to global e-payments, where we are processing e-commerce, e-government payments, electronic bill payments, school fees payments, e-ticketing, and so forth. That shift into from an e-commerce provider into a payment processor, electronic payment processor, was a major shift. There are lots of other areas, like helping governments to digitize 100%. I'm very proud of the city that today there is no paper parking ticket. That's a major milestone. You look at from an environmental perspective, that today we have so many trees that are saved. We have it's a green service, and to have had the support from the county government, even the attendants, the parking attendants, the unions, all those guys that have participated in that project, those guys, you see that they've been party to. They have been, now they are part of, the shift Kenya has taken to e-payments, because that's the first government that has gone 100% on digital payments. And now they realize the benefits of doing that. And there are so many other milestones that happen, because even a farmer at Kalimoni who is using our service, the moment we feel and get to see them digitally receiving payments for the supply of milk to the neighborhood, we are very proud of that. And all the businesses that have started out of Jambo Pay, we have a lot of young guys who have started online shops.
Now, before we wind up, let's go back to where you started. It was a milestone for you to walk into that cyber cafe and start your business. You started with 4,500 shillings, I understand.
Yes.
Now, Jambo Pay is worth millions of shillings, if not more. Let's talk to the young entrepreneur now. Your business venture requires 500,000 shillings, but you only have 5,000 shillings. Talk to us about working with what you have.
Yeah, I would like to say that the biggest capital is yourself. 7 years ago, Jambo Pay just began in a cyber cafe. I walked into a cyber, by the way, and asked those guys, can you allow me to use this computer? I'll be paying for it the entire month. So I lock it with my password and username. In fact, I'll change my operating system. And we negotiated 4,500 shillings. And the biggest lesson there is you do not require to have a lot of money to start. In fact, a lot of my friends and fans online will always ask me, oh, can you help me with capital? And I would not subscribe to them that medicine which I have not taken. So I always tell guys, first, a good business does not require money, lots of funds to begin. You just need to know what is it, and you also need to focus on your customer. Jambo Pay is funded, I think it's grown out of focusing on customer. We have not grown out of getting funds from out of the country and I don't know from where and what have you. It's just focusing on customer. Customer is serviced. So yes, to the entrepreneur who is starting, or those who are going through tough times, those who have not started and have those plans, first thing is yourself. You are probably 90% of your capital. If you had money, like $1 million on this table, by itself could not transform into transport business. But when you come in and do market research and you put together your thoughts and your friends and research and get some customers, you're able to turn that into a business. So you have to begin and start now. And you also ought to focus on processes, because we began from the very onset in having vision, clear mission, objectives. What we wanted to do was quite clear from the onset. Of course, some adjustments here and there based on the market need. And even when it was very difficult, you can imagine you are at a cyber cafe and you are going to tell an entity like colleges and media houses that I want to collect your money.
Right.
And that's that's like, it would sound ridiculous.
So you have to be your biggest asset.
Yes, you have to be your biggest asset and focus.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Danson Muchemi, CEO of Jambo Pay, started his business with 4,500 shillings and is now a multi-millionaire. You've been watching The Weekend Express with me, Michelle Ngele. Many thanks for watching. Good morning.